Have you ever noticed her words don't match her actions, and every time you question it, she spins the story so well you start doubting yourself instead of her? That's not confusing, that's control. And if you ignore it, the price is devastating. Years wasted, self-respect chipped away, trust shattered in ways that may never heal. The reality is, before betrayal ever becomes physical, most women test the waters with the same subtle lies. On the surface, they seem innocent, even reasonable. But in truth, they're carefully chosen to create distance while she sets the stage for her exit. In this video, I'll break down the 4 exact lies that reveal when betrayal is already in motion. Recognizing them early could mean the difference between protecting your future or watching it collapse in silence. I've spent years as a psychologist and relationship coach listening to stories from men who never saw it coming until it was too late, and the same patterns repeat every single time. Before we get into the breakdown, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and drop a comment about the moment you first sensed something was off. Your experience might be the warning another man needs. Now let's begin, because the first lie women tell is wrapped in innocence, but grows into something far more destructive. Lie 1. I'm just tired, I need space. When a woman says she is tired, the natural reaction is to assume she is speaking about work, stress, or the simple weight of life. But tiredness is rarely about the body. It is almost always about the heart. When she begins to use this line, what she is really signaling is not exhaustion, but withdrawal. She is quietly unplugging herself from the emotional current that once flowed toward you with intensity. The moments that used to be filled with laughter, effortless energy, and warmth are now replaced with sighs, half-hearted nods, and an invisible wall that slowly grows between you and her. I need space sounds innocent on the surface, like she's asking for breathing room in a crowded world. But in truth, it's not about needing to breathe, it's about needing to escape. People do not ask for space from what they desire. They ask for space from what they no longer feel connected to. If she is creating distance, it means there is already a place she is moving closer toward, even if it's just in her mind. Emotional disengagement always comes before physical betrayal, and the phrase, "I need space," is the first step in that silent exit. The irony is that women rarely admit the real reason for this shift. They frame it in the language of self-care or stress management, but the undertone is far sharper. She is already redirecting her emotional energy somewhere else. A woman who once stayed up late to talk suddenly claims exhaustion and turns away. A woman who once leaned in with excitement now leans back with disinterest. The fatigue is not about her job, her studies, or her daily grind. It's about no longer finding her joy in the space she once occupied with you. This lie works so well because it hides in plain sight. Who can argue with someone being tired? Who can challenge someone asking for personal space? It feels cruel to question it, so it often slips by without confrontation. But the truth is clear for anyone willing to see it. When tiredness becomes the default answer, it is no longer about the body being drained. It is about the heart no longer being invested. Lie 2, he's just a friend. This is the most common and the most dangerous lie because it wears the mask of innocence. He's just a friend sounds simple, harmless, almost ridiculous to question. But beneath that phrase often hides the seed of betrayal. Women rarely jump into physical infidelity without first building an emotional bridge, and that bridge almost always starts with just a friend. The friend she insists is nothing to worry about is often the one person who receives the energy, attention, and affection that should have been guarded for the relationship. The power of this lie is not in what she says, but in how she frames it. By labeling him as just a friend, she attempts to strip away any suspicion before it can even form. She paints the connection as something ordinary, even boring, while in reality, it is growing into the most extraordinary threat. Emotional intimacy is always the first betrayal. It begins in shared laughs, in secret conversations, in messages exchanged late at night that carry more passion than the words she shares at home. A woman who is emotionally fed by another man will eventually crave the physical bond as well, because the heart always leads the body. This line also relies on the blindness of familiarity. Society has normalized the idea that men and women can be just friends, and while that can sometimes be true in the context of secrecy, insistence, and defensiveness, it is almost always something more. When she repeats this phrase, when she gets defensive at the mere suggestion of boundaries, when she protects this so-called friend with her words, it is not friendship she is defending. It is the lifeline she has already tied her emotions to. What makes "he's just a friend" so insidious is that it convinces the listener to silence their instincts. Doubt is painted as paranoia, observation is labeled insecurity, and questions are dismissed as mistrust. Yet those instincts are often sharper than logic. They pick up on the subtle changes, how her eyes light up at a message, how her mood shifts when she speaks about him, how her energy feels alive when his name is mentioned. These are the cues that words try to cover but cannot erase. The truth is that when a woman has to defend a man as just a friend, it usually means he has already crossed the line in her heart. Friendship does not require defense, nor does it need repeated reassurance. Real friends exist without secrecy, without tension, without the subtle guilt that bleeds through every excuse. The moment she feels the need to justify it, the moment she begins to protect him with that phrase, the betrayal has already begun in silence. Lie 3. I've just been really busy. Busyness is one of the most convincing lies because it sounds logical, believable, and socially acceptable. Everyone understands the demands of life, work deadlines, family responsibilities, personal projects. So when a woman says she's too busy, it rarely gets questioned. But beneath the surface, this phrase is less about her schedule and more about her shifting priorities. The reality is that people always find time for what matters most to them. If she once made room in her day for connection, affection, and attention, and now claims her calendar is overflowing, it isn't that she suddenly discovered busyness. It's that she has chosen to invest her time elsewhere. The psychology behind this excuse is subtle but powerful. A woman who is emotionally detached knows she cannot vanish overnight. She needs a shield, something to justify why she's no longer present, why her replies are delayed, why her warmth feels cold. I've just been really busy becomes that shield. It allows her to pull away without appearing guilty, to create distance without confrontation. On the outside, it looks like stress. On the inside, it is the slow redirection of her energy. Every relationship is built on patterns of attention. The way she once eagerly answered messages, the way she once carved out time for dinners, phone calls, or even small moments of intimacy, those things now begin to fade. The pattern changes, and instead of addressing the change, she masks it with busyness. It's not that her life suddenly became harder, it's that her priorities have rearranged. When another man enters her emotional world, she doesn't magically gain more hours in the day. She simply reallocates them. What was once given freely is now rationed. What was once a joy is now presented as a burden. The most dangerous part of this lie is that it conditions silence in return. Question it too strongly, and it sounds like a lack of empathy. Push against it, and it feels like pressure. That's why it works so well, because no one wants to be the person who argues with someone about being too busy. But underneath, the shift is clear. Time is not being stolen by obligations. It is being redirected by choice. She isn't too busy to text. She's too invested elsewhere to prioritize it. She isn't too busy for affection. She's too consumed by another source of validation to offer it. This excuse is less about the clock and more about the calendar of her emotions. People create time for the things that give them life. If she is no longer creating time for the bond she once valued, it means that bond has already started to decay. And when she shields it with the phrase, I've just been really busy, she is really saying, I've already chosen to give my time to something, or someone else. Lie 4. Nothing's wrong, I'm fine. This is the most dangerous lie of them all because it silences truth with a mask of calm. When a woman says, I'm fine, she is not revealing peace, she is hiding distance. The phrase acts like a closed door, shutting down any attempt to understand what is really going on inside her. But silence is never neutral. Silence is where emotions rot, where truth hides, and where betrayal begins to take root. A woman who says nothing is wrong is usually carrying everything she refuses to say out loud. The reason this lie is so effective is because it flips the situation. By claiming nothing is wrong, she makes it seem like the issue is not her, but the one asking questions. It turns genuine concern into unnecessary drama, curiosity into intrusion. She creates a wall that says, don't look here, don't ask here, don't press here. And behind that wall is where the truth begins to grow in secret. The words, I'm fine, become a weapon of avoidance, protecting her from accountability and protecting her connection to whatever has started to pull her away. Every betrayal begins with secrecy. Before the body strays, the heart first learns how to hide. I'm fine is that hiding place. It tells you nothing while concealing everything. The warmth that once spilled out of her effortlessly is now locked away. The openness that once defined her communication is replaced by clipped answers and quick dismissals. And yet, on the surface, it feels easier to accept her words than to confront the possibility that they're a lie. That's why so many overlook it. They want to believe she is fine because the alternative is too painful to face. But if you look closely, the cracks are obvious. Her eyes no longer hold the same spark when she speaks. Her touch feels mechanical, stripped of the tenderness it once carried. She avoids depth, avoids vulnerability, avoids accountability. The phrase, I'm fine, becomes her shield because the truth would reveal too much. Her fading interest, her redirected emotions, her concealed actions. She doesn't want to have that conversation because it would mean confronting the choices she has already begun to make. The deadliest part of this lie is that it leaves no room for resolution. Problems that are denied cannot be fixed. Distance that is hidden cannot be closed. And while she repeats that nothing is wrong, everything beneath the surface is shifting, breaking, and moving farther away. "I'm fine" is not the end of conflict. It is the end of honesty. It means her truth no longer lives with you. It already belongs somewhere else. Now you've seen the 4 lies for what they really are. Warning shots before the betrayal strikes. Most men ignore them, hoping things will fix themselves, but silence never saves you. Awareness does. If this video gave you clarity, hit that like button, subscribe for more raw truths, and share this with a brother who might be walking blind into the same trap. Drop a comment below about which lie hit closest to home. Your story might open another man's eyes before it's too late.